All right. Hello. Welcome back to I Buy Black Friday, and we're here with Cherise Stewart of Irgo Travel. Welcome,
Hello.
Cherise. Would
Thank
you
you.
please introduce yourself and what does Irgo Travel do?
Hi, everybody out there. I am Cherise Stewart, owner of Irgo Travel. Irgo Travel is a travel agency. We are based out of Philadelphia, but we can service the whole United States of America. And what we do is provide awesome memories for our clients. So, whether that be custom all inclusive vacations, group travel, getaway destinations for like a quick girls getaway weekend, cruises, whatever your heart desire and needs are, Irgo Travel can plan it and implement it for you.
Awesome. So, I mean, with the recent economic downturn and all the COVID restrictions and whatnot, it's probably a pretty good time to have a travel agent. It's not as easy to just look on.
Plan, pack, and go.
Yeah, it's not as easy to plan, pack, and go as it used to be. So,
Exactly. Mhm.
have you been how have you been helping your clients with all of this?
That's a great observation, James. And I have basically been helping in many ways. So, when the pandemic first started, that consisted of me reaching out to a lot of different suppliers, so resorts, airlines, and literally sitting on the phone on hold for possibly 1 to 2 hours, just ensuring that my clients either got a refund or a credit based upon what the particular supplier was able to do at that point. And now it's shifted. So now it's more informational. Hey, you want to go to Jamaica? I think it's a great time for you to go. Just keep in mind, you need to get a PCR test or a COVID test, and you've got to get it within a specific window before you leave. You're also going to need to complete a travel authorization. So, really, just being a point person. For anyone that is thinking about traveling. So either telling them, yeah, you can go there now, or no, they're not accepting U.S. citizens at this point. But really, just being that go-to person as far as what we can do, what we can't do, or what should be the next steps in planning travel.
Yeah, I'll relate a little story just because we got some time to eat up here.
Yeah,
But my wife and I love travel, and traveling as a black man is interesting. You encounter different attitudes than say like your normal travel agent may necessarily be set up for. So
okay.
I've always anytime I have to use a travel agent, I try to use one that's experienced with folks of color traveling because like I've been to entry points to countries all around the world, and they ask all of us brown folks the same questions no matter where you are. Um,
Mhm.
so we were traveling in Antarctica. It was a once in a lifetime trip, but it happened right before all the shutdown stuff happened for
Okay.
COVID. And having a travel agent was super important in that moment because
Absolutely.
yeah, we're out on a boat, and we had maybe 10, 15 minutes that we could get in touch with people on land for every day. So as things wildly changed, we were getting in touch with our travel agent the most, and trying to get, and they were taking care of, hey, we got you rebooked on this flight. Oh, hey, your boat's not going to land in Argentina anymore, so we got you rebooked on this flight, and we got you a hotel there, and blah blah blah. Yeah, so
And I'm sure you were
really,
grateful.
oh yeah, really, really super
Yes.
valuable to
Hmm.
all of us that had travel agents.
Hmm.
There were a few folks that were traveling, and someplace like Antarctica, normally that would be a place where you'd think, hey, let me get a travel agent, but
I would hope so.
there are some people that tried to do that by themselves, and when stuff goes crazy like that, you need that experienced person on the other end of the line.
Right. And to the people that like to do it themselves, I totally understand. There are some people that they want to curate a specific experience for themselves. And to those people, I would say that you really need to find the right fit when looking for a travel agent, because I'm not just going to go give you a cookie cutter a package, especially for something as unique as Antarctica. And I think it's really just aligning yourself with the right travel agent so that they are listening to your needs and delivering to you what you're really looking for, and not something that's just cookie cutter off the shelf. Because in times of need, they can be very invaluable. Excuse me.
So yeah. So what insights do you have for somebody planning like a trip coming up? Like they want to. Everybody's been sitting at home for nearly a year now.
Yeah.
how should people approach like, okay, maybe there's a vaccine out. Maybe 6 months from now, that vaccine is widespread enough that people can travel again. How should people approach this? Like this time of fluctuation with travel.
Absolutely. So I think first and foremost, you have to be flexible. I did an update on a couple of islands last month, and I think that was like one of the very first things that I said. At this point in time, with COVID rates going up, going down, and we really all just are sitting in a holding pattern to see when vaccines are going to come out, when COVID rates are going to go down again. You really need to be flexible, but that shouldn't stop you from planning. Now, I think is an excellent time to start planning a destination, if not for this year. We're almost into the end of 2020, but definitely looking into 2021 and 2022, because you can really get some good packages in regards to pricing and really just what's available now. And on the flip side, since we're all in a holding pattern, I think a lot of the suppliers now, no time before would an airline say, hey, you know what? If you've got to change your flight, we're waiving change fees. And that's like, what? You're waiving change fees? That's absolutely unbelievable. So really making sure that you are aware of what the restrictions, if any, are, being flexible, and I'd say start planning now. With a lot of the suppliers, let's say you plan something for next June, maybe April rolls around, we're not at a place where we need to be, you may be able to just push the trip back another 3 to 6 months. Why not do it? I had a cruise that I was scheduled to go on October of this year to Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. I pushed it out to 2022. I said, you know what? I don't know what the future holds with the cruise line industry. I'm just going to push it out to 2022. I still want to do the cruise, but that gives me more than enough time to make payments on it and just basically sit back and wait and see where we are. And if I would hope we're going to be in a better place come 2022.
So, what do you see as trends in travel when travel picks back up? What do you think the people traveling, where are they going to be going? What are they going to be doing?
I think it's going to be, I'm going to dip my toe in the pool first and see what happens. So with that, trying to do someplace close, seeing where their comfort level is at. So instead of maybe going to Europe, you know what, maybe I'll just go to California or Hawaii if I'm based in the US. So someplace closer to home, Definitely looking into getting insurance. If you never thought about getting insurance before, you also want to look into that now and buy insurance. I'm talking about potentially even medical insurance, something that's going to potentially cover you for COVID. And in some places that you go, it's now a requirement. So if you go to Aruba, you have to purchase COVID insurance. So dipping your toe, I think the trend's going to be people dipping their toes into the water if they haven't traveled in maybe a year or so, picking someplace relatively close to home so that if something happens, it's not going to be difficult to get back. And then just slowly building up their tolerance to travel farther and further out and maybe for longer distances.
And where's your dream destination? I know you said you have a cruise planned. What's your dream trip?
Well, my dream trip for 2021 was supposed to be South Africa. So South Africa has started opening up to other countries. I believe US, they have opened up to the US as of November the 12th, but the particular safari that I want to go on still is not accepting reservations. So that's in a holding pattern for me, unfortunately. I was scheduled to go in March. I'm hoping I can get there August or September of next year. But if not, that doesn't stop me. I'm talking to you now from Mexico, so it doesn't stop me. I'll just pick someplace else and keep it moving.
Nice, nice. Are you a group traveler, a solo traveler? Do you like small, big?
hmm So personally, I do a lot of my traveling solo, partially because of what I do. I'm a travel agent, so I'm probably going to try and hit like 12 different cities over the next 12 months. I don't have the expectation that everybody else can do that with me. But I'm flexible. I think I feel it's liberating traveling solo. It's a little scary at first, but the more you do it, I think the more comfortable you are with it. And I tell a lot of people, if you have always been hesitant to travel solo, but you're tired of sitting and like maybe waiting for friends or family or partners to want to travel with you, I say go for it. Because I think a lot of times you meet people that you wouldn't normally meet. Um, and I just think it's like very liberating. And guess what? You can do whatever you want to do. There's no compromise ever. So that's a good thing too. But
That's good, yeah. Because I hate it when I want to go to a restaurant and then whoever I'm traveling with doesn't want to, and or
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. But I also know, and I think it's great when you have group trips. So Irgo Travel does plan a few group trips, and we're willing to plan group trips for other individuals or other groups, because with that, you get maybe a couple of solo travelers that want to go somewhere but not necessarily be in a country by themselves. So you kind of have like a familiar group, but you can, still do what you want to do on a day-to-day basis. And it also helps, I think, in just like value added amenities and excursions for the price. You usually get more discounting with the larger group sizes. So whatever you want to do, we can do it for you. And I'm flexible.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, personally, I always aim for like the smaller size, but I'm still willing to have a group, but like you get much past 20, 30 people, it gets a little complicated.
And that's actually the trend that a lot of like your bigger tour companies have moved to. They've realized that 30, 45 passenger buses traveling in towns, it's just not cool. It also leads to over tourism, which a lot of countries are looking and saying, you know what, we don't like that and we don't want that. For example, like Amsterdam. So you get a lot of smaller, more intimate group settings, and I think you just get a much better experience that way because you get more one-on-one attention and the ability to do more what you want to do.
Cool. Um, what else? What else? What else? What else? What's your favorite method of travel?
the places that I want to go to, it's usually by air. So
No, I mean, you're always traveling even once you get there. I don't know. You take a bus, take a taxi, take a boat. I don't know.
yeah, and that I would say it really varies. I'd say I'm usually more over cruises. And don't get me wrong, I do love cruises, but if I'm on a cruise, I want to get to a specific destination. I don't usually like being on a cruise ship more than 2 or 3 days at a time without seeing land. Conversely, other people love it because they'll partake in the spa services. Like these cruises are cities on the sea, high seas at this point. But I'd say usually air is my primary mode of travel. When I get in destination, depending on where I'm at, I'm okay using like public transportation. So whether it be an Uber that I like hopped into when I was in Panama, that's how I got all over Panama. It just really depends.
Yeah. One of my favorite thus far that we've done is Dahabia. It's a boat on the Nile, a traditional sailing boat on the Nile.
Hmm.
Uh, Definitely smaller than whatever anyone would think. We went on the shoulder season. That's probably the best piece of travel advice that I've ever gotten is aim for shoulder seasons because everybody's ramping up either to do their full season or they're winding
Yeah.
down from their full season, and you'll get all the service that you would get in the main season, but
Hmm.
it's just
A
just
lot less.
slightly less travel.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So we went on a Dahabia on shoulder season, which for Egypt is October, and September to October. And we ended up being the only, there were two couples on this whole 14 cabin boat. So it ended up being us and one other couple. We were outnumbered by the staff. That was pretty cool. But yeah. Any other travel tips like that, like traveling in shoulder season, ways to get good deals, when to travel, where to travel, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so definitely shoulder season is always a good advice. And of course, that's going to depend based upon what part of the country you're going to. Um, Planning ahead, I think the more time you give yourself to plan, it gives you the opportunity to make smaller increments, especially if something may seem price prohibitive. And it also gives you more time to determine, like what kind of excursions do I want to do, and hopefully not miss out on things either. So, for example, I took a couple of family members to Italy, and I said, was there anything in particular that you wanted to see when we get here? No, 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 we're okay, we're okay. We get there, and one of the family members wanted to go to the Vatican. We needed to plan that a little bit sooner if you wanted to go to the Vatican. Some tickets are like really difficult to get, so you don't want to travel so far to get somewhere, and then it's difficult for you to even get to see and do some of the excursions that you wanted to do. So while I'm not a proponent of like booking everything in advance, but if there are like a couple of really like, I've got to do this when I get there, then you definitely want to line those up and make sure that you lock in that experience so you don't miss out. So that's like a big thing that comes to mind.
Yep. In addition to planning, I know that there's a lot of different planning styles. Some people want to plan down to the minute. Some people don't want to plan anything. Where do you fall on that scale? I mean, like me personally, I fall on the kind of the scale, like I'm going to plan to do like these things this week, and then I'll get to whatever ones I can, but I don't necessarily want to plan down to the minute of every day. So where would you say is good on that scale?
I grew up with a mom and I love her, but every day and every minute had to be accounted for. So I'm a little bit more flexible. And I even tell some of my customers, I had a couple, they went to the Dominican Republic on their honeymoon, and they were amazing. They were like, we want to do this excursion this day, this excursion the next day. And I said, finally, I said, do you think you might be tired after the second day of excursion? Like, it was like a very daunting list of excursions. They were making me tired just telling me all of the things that they do. And I finally convinced them. I said, how about we just like maybe drop one excursion out of the week and you then only have like maybe 5 or 6 things to do? And they said, okay. But I just feel like I love excursions, but sometimes you just want to stop and be still. And then it allows you flexibility. So let's say you have an excursion planned, it's an outdoor activity and it rains all day. Where are you going to stick that other excursion if you've got every single day jam packed? Like you may not even be able to get to it. So I think I'm middle of the road. Have a couple of like really favorite things planned, but I don't know, when you get there, you may want to change your mind and do something different. So have a little flexibility in there.
Awesome. Awesome. Any other good tips for folks? What I've recently run into a lot is, and I guess it's more common than I even ever assumed, is folks that are actually kind of afraid to travel, like even pre-COVID. Were afraid to, like, don't have their passport, don't know what it takes, don't know anything about it, don't know nothing about travel, never been out of town,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I also see that a lot with people of color. It's unfortunate that I don't want to get on my soapbox, but I feel like our experiences here lot of times will already give us preconceived notions of what or how we think we're going to be treated when we travel elsewhere. And I say, don't be afraid. And it can also be a welcoming experience. So I went to Colombia last year, Cartagena, Colombia. I didn't realize it was that many Black people in Cartagena, Colombia. Growing up, I know I always used to watch, what is it, Miss America pageant. I never saw people my shade or my color. They were usually fairer skin, from Venezuela, Brazil. I knew Brazil had a larger Black population that we do, but I never realized that for Colombia until I actually went. And it's just like an eye-opening experience. It to me, it makes the world seem a lot smaller than what I think we think it is, and it connects us the more that you travel, which is why I'm a huge proponent of travel. I think if you traveled more, you would have a lot less of divisiveness and racism that we face in the country today. But I think through me talking and sharing my passion and love of travel, I and I have actually worked with people that had not traveled or had not had a passport. And once they went on that first trip, they were hooked. They're like, okay, I'm ready to start planning for the next. And I think that's a good thing. My son has me beat. And I'm hoping that I instilled a little bit of that into him. I'm in Mexico now, and he should be arriving in Costa Rica. Within the next couple of hours, he should be in Costa Rica. So don't be afraid. It is a big world out there, but it's a lot smaller than you think. And I have relied on the kindness of many a stranger and many of a country. And I think that just shows how good we are as a people. So focus on the good and not necessarily the bad.
Yeah, and in all of the travel that I've done, I would say that it's surprising. It's honestly surprising how people will look out for you no matter. They don't even speak your same language, don't understand what you're saying, don't have any clue who you are, and there are people that will literally take the shirt off their back to help you.
Mhm.
And one last thing I wanted to address just before we're almost out of time here, but Accessibility. How do you make travel accessible to your clients?
By being flexible. So, and when you say accessibility from a money standpoint, like what do you mean?
Money, yeah, money, and everything really. Like we're talking about people who are afraid to travel. We're talking about people who are don't have a plan. How do you bring that accessibility? Money is in it too. Money, like a lot of people think they don't have the money to travel. So
Right. Or the wherewithal, like you say, or don't even know where to start. I think it's really just sitting down and listening to them and really determining what their true needs are or what they're looking to do. So for example, I'll have somebody that'll come to me and say, I'm looking for a deal. I need the cheapest thing. Do you need the cheapest thing? Like, what do you want to do when you get there? So maybe it's a matter of us planning it out a little bit further so that you can get to the things that you want to do. Maybe going on shoulder season. Do you have to go in the middle of summer to an island where it's going to be like prime season to travel? So finding out what they really want to do and then working with what we have. And really just educating them on what to potentially expect when they go there.
all right. Well, thank you, Cherise Stewart, Irgo Travel, irgotravel.com. Hope you enjoyed it. Enjoyed talking to you. And thanks for coming on I Buy Black's Black Friday.
All right. Thank you, James. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.